Few things are quite as sacred or as special as a mother's and a grandmother's love. And we know that love comes naturally, but today we are looking at how we can take it even deeper. It's part of our week-long series called Deeper Love, where we explore all the ways we can strengthen and extend the love we have to give. Studio 5 parenting contributor Heather Johnson is here. She's sharing ways to love your kids and your grandkids more deeply. So when we say that word more deeply, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think we look at loving our kids and it's more we have this connection with them and the connection happens today, and then maybe we'll have another space where we connect with them in a week. Or we did something a month ago and we remember that being connective. A deeper love to me is an amplified love where we actually live in a space of connection with them all the time. Where connection isn't just something that happens randomly or that happens every once in a while, but it's this very intentional space that we live in most often, instead of it being a one-off, right? That is deeper to me, where we live deeper. We live in this connected space. We've amplified our relationship to a place where connection is the norm instead of what we hope happens randomly on a Wednesday.
Okay.
That's deeper.
I love that explanation. And you have a few ways that you think we can do it and kind of how we can facilitate it a little better. And the first one you say is to let them lead.
To let them lead us. You know, we tell our kids what to do every day. We do, especially when they're younger. Well, some of us even as they get older, right? Where we're constantly telling them how to spend their time and what they need to do. We create this deeper love when we let them lead us, when we make time every single day for them to make decisions and be in charge and almost help facilitate what we're gonna do together instead of us facilitating what we're gonna do together. The cool thing about this is it shows them that we respect them and also that we trust them. And respect and love amplify relationships. They connect us in ways that nothing else does. And so we want to find time for them to be able to do that, to lead us every single day.
And is that something that you would do more formally, or are we hoping this just kind of happens naturally?
You can do it either way. It can be a space where you set aside time and they get to be in charge. This works really well, especially with little kids, where you say, all right, the next 15 minutes, what are we doing? You're in charge. But then as they get older, it's just falling in line behind them, where if they decide that what connection looks like that day, they lead us, whether it's in conversation, whether it's in problem solving, even simple things like what we're gonna eat for dinner, and now they take the reins. Those things let them know we trust them, and it connects us. Remember, trust and respect deepen relationships. So we want to offer that to them.
And the next one kind of goes in line with that because you're talking about learning how they play. And I think maybe we think about this with little kids, like getting down on the floor with them, but I found it even more when I had teenagers.
Even, we shouldn't say more important, but maybe we should, more important the older that they get. So again, if we go back to the fact that we're always kind of structuring what their life looks like, the place where we get to really see what our kids are like is when they get to choose how they spend their playtime. We use the word play liberally, right? We're talking about older kids also here. That's when we see their personalities. It shows them that we care when we actually pay attention to what they choose to do when they play. And then we find ways to play with them, to do those things with them. Again, it shows them that trust and that respect. But that playtime is where they recharge and where they refuel. And so when they don't feel like they get to choose in that space, they don't feel connected to the people in their family. We want to know how they play. And then we want to let them know that we honor and respect that that's how they recharge. It's where they get to choose, right? And so we want to respect their choices.
I know, I think that was a little easier for me with my daughter. Maybe we had a lot more in common, but let me tell you, I learned how to play Fortnite with my older son. And now with my younger son, I have watched more NBA games than I care to say, just because that's his passion. And so now I know way too much about NBA.
And he knows that you love him, right? On a deeper level, on this level where you actually care what he loves and you spend time doing that. Remember, this deeper love is where we live in a connected space. So when they're leading each day, when we're spending this time together, seeing how they play and how they make their choices, it connects us every day instead of at the one-off, just sometimes.
And does this lead us into your next point, which is to create parent-child rituals?
Yeah, so rituals are repeated patterns of interaction. Rituals are these things that we do with someone and we repeat them and there's meaning behind them. Rituals need to be meaningful. And so for us to have a deeper connection with our kids and with our grandchildren, we want to be doing things that have meaning repeatedly every day, every month, every year. So even if I think about our 3 youngest kids right now who we have at home, we have one daughter, our 9-year-old, who one of our patterns of interaction, our rituals, is we say goodnight to each other the same way every night. So she says, you know, I love you, and she throws that out, but she finishes up with, see you when the sun wakes up. And I say, see you when the sun wakes up. I think about our 11-year-old, and one of our patterns of interaction, our rituals, is when I get home and the garage opens, she always comes out and takes my water bottle, and then we walk in together. I think about our youngest daughter, who's 7, and when I drop her off at school, I say, what do you remember? And she looks at me and she says, that you love me. And I say, don't forget, and she says, I won't. We say those exact same words every single day. We interact that same way every single day. And it connects us on a deeper level, and its repetition and its meaning puts us in a position where we're staying connected instead of just sometimes hoping to connect. We stay there. We stay connected.
And I think it's so important to do those things, and maybe a little easier with those kids who live in your home. Talk to me about some ideas we could do with either kids who are at college or our married kids, or even a grandma to a grandchild. What are some of those rituals that may be a little harder to do daily, but you can still create them, I'm guessing?
Yeah, they can be easy things, like maybe a grandparent who's texting their grandchildren. If a grandparent knows what a grandchild is up to and knows there's a piano recital or knows there's a dance something, or something going on at school, how cool would it be to have your grandma reach out and say, hey, hope your project goes well today, or send me a picture when you're done with your recital. Any of those things. Maybe you set it up and it's a call with grandparents or a college-age child, and you do that every Saturday morning. These are all rituals, meaningful patterns of interaction where we connect. We can do anything we need here. I know one that my parents do with our kids is when it's their birthday, they go and spend the night at my parents' house, and they get all that comes with that, right? They get grandpa's breakfast, and they get grandma's dinners, and they get to have a bedtime story. There are so many ways to do this without it being overwhelming. Just incorporating that meaning into what we're doing every day with our kids and our grandchildren.
And listening to what you said, it seems like it's important to have it one-on-one. This isn't just like a blanket thing. You have special things with each of those kiddos.
Yeah, if we're looking for depth, we want them to know that we know them. And there's some pretty unbelievable ways we can do that. Again, just built right into paying attention every day. Even taking it a step further and making it clear that we understand their worth and helping our children better understand their worth. That is something that deepens our connection. This ability to help them see their worth comes from us accepting them exactly how they are. Their quirks, their senses of humor, their ability to be organized or not, or that they do well in math or not. If we can help our kids understand that they're worth, that they're enough as is, this elevates or deepens. It amplifies our relationship. It puts us in a connective space. One of the very best ways we can do this is making sure that we never pit their performance or their behaviors and their worth against each other. That whether they do well in school or not doesn't change that they're enough, right?
Yeah.
Whether they win or not doesn't change that. Whether they like the same things as we do, it never changes their worth. We want to instill that in them. And that's another thing that we can do to deepen those relationships.
I love that. And your next one is to prepare them for everything. What are we talking
Everything.
about?
And I know now we all just got really overwhelmed because we can't possibly do that. I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, I sure wish my parents would have helped me with that. Or my dad was really good at this. I wish he would have taught me about that. I hear it so often, and the research shows the same. When we send our kids into the world each day prepared, when they're smaller, it's making time to practice their spelling words for their Friday spelling test. It's making sure that the lunch is packed so that they don't worry at 11:30 what they're going to eat. It's with Valentine boxes coming up and making sure that that's preparation. But it's teaching them those bigger things so that they can know and feel safe when they go out into the world as they get bigger. It's teaching them everything from money management to how to manage emotions. We can't anticipate it all, but we can teach them and prepare them. When we do that, it's us showing them a much deeper love. It isn't just getting through our relationship. It's actually intentionally building that safety and protection between the two of us. And that's what preparation does.
Yeah, and that lends itself to all the things you said earlier because it's quality time you're spending with them. And I've noticed I'm doing this even with my college kids who maybe I didn't prepare on some things. I'm still hoping to prepare them for later in life. And your last one is don't just drop them off.
Yeah, we've found ourselves as a society in this place where we do a lot of dropping off and not a lot of attending. And it sends an uncomfortable message to our kids when we're consistently dropping them off, but never sticking around to actually see what they're doing. Now, we can't always do that, but instead of swinging the pendulum so far to where it's always just a drop off, I'll pick you up in an hour, we gotta start staying. We need to stay at some soccer practices and actually see what interactions take place instead of just hearing about it after. We need to watch some recitals. We need to hang out in a classroom when we can. We've gotten into this habit where it's very easy to just drop them off and go do a million other things. So if it means that we need to cut back on the million other things so that we can actually experience what they're doing and learn about it and show them that we're there paying attention and learning about them, we need to do those things so that we can not just hear what happened, but we can actually be there to say, I saw that, and then we can help prepare them. We can help take interest in what's going on. It elevates it, right? If we can do these things more often, now we live connected to our kids, and that's where we get depth, when we live there, instead of, again, it just being something that we hope happens today.
Yeah, that deeper love we're all striving for. Thank you so much, Heather.